The Grand Canyon Lodge is the centerpiece of the Grand Canyon's North Rim and is a must-see if you visit there. When you pull up, the first thing you'll see is the North Rim Visitor Center, a building that is built similar to the lodge. As you walk down the walkway here, you'll see some cabins, and then down at the end of the road is the Grand Canyon Lodge. The lodge is built in a U shape. It was built in the 1920s by the same architect who designed the Zion Lodge in Zion National Park and the Bryce Canyon Lodge in Bryce Canyon National Park. These three parks have been intertwined ever since the early 1900s. Visitors would take a tour bus to each of these parks in what they called the Grand Tour. The National Park Service wanted these buildings to blend in with their environment, so they're built from the same materials as the surrounding area. Walk in the lobby and you'll see beautiful pine logs and kaibab stone. If you're staying at the lodge, here's where you would register, and then here's where you would register for a mule ride, which you can book in advance. Nearby is the dining room, and you definitely need reservations to eat at the dining room. They do give preference to people who are staying at the lodge, but eating dinner here is one of the main things to do on the North Rim. From the dining room, you can actually see the Grand Canyon while you're eating. The views here beat any of the views from the hotels on the South Rim. The Sunroom is pretty much the first thing you see when you walk through the lobby, and this again provides some really stunning views of the Grand Canyon. Also in the sunroom is a statue to a donkey named Bridie. They have a little display behind Bridie telling you about the donkey. Bridie lived here in the early 1900s, and his life was turned into a children's book and later a movie. Today people like to rub his nose for good luck. He's got quite a story, and I've done a whole nother video on Bridie. Outside you can relax on some Adirondack chairs with a drink and just take in views of the Grand Canyon, or if you're like these visitors, just look at your cell phone. The lodge itself does not have any rooms. Instead, people stay in little cabins like these. Some of these are perched almost right on the edge of the canyon. It's really amazing. How would it be to have this as your view first thing in the morning? The lodge is a little bit of a trip back in time. They have a post office. Here is the Rough Rider Saloon where you can grab a drink before you head out to the deck. Before they built the lodge, people stayed in tents like this on the North Rim. But in the 1920s, they decided a lodge was needed to house the increasing number of tourists coming by train. When the tourist stay was over, employees at the lodge would sing them a going away song. The lodge actually burnt to the ground only a few years after it was built, but it was eventually reconstructed in the same place in a slightly modified form. But the National Park Service considers it the oldest unchanged lodge in its entire system. Nearby are a couple of viewpoints that you can walk out to look at Bright Angel Canyon. You can actually look all the way across the canyon and see the Grand Canyon Village on the South Rim. This here is Bright Angel Point, and it's just a short walk out from the lodge. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Grand Canyon Lodge, and I hope you get to stay there someday. If you're visiting the Grand Canyon, check the links in our description for more Grand Canyon resources.